Most people don't know what's holding them back, but you do because you listen to me, Sam, your self-care guru and journal junkie. Welcome to Journal Entries, your safe place where you can tune in weekly to get tips, tricks, and journal prompts to uncover your feelings, gain clarity, and make your move. Oh my gosh, welcome to Journal Entries. I am so excited to be pressing record and recording our very first journal entry, if you will, or episode. I am Samantha, your podcast host, and I am really excited to launch this because I think that there are two benefits of this podcast. First and foremost, I think that it will continue my healing process. Over the past 2 years, I have been really focused on digging into my emotions and journaling, and we'll tap all into that. But also, as I have uncovered different emotions and sides and parts and voices of me, I have attracted women to me who I think are going through very similar things that I have gone through or am currently going through. And I am hoping that this podcast will kind of shed light on what I've been through, how I've handled it, both good and bad, and allow you to take that and implement it in whatever way you see fit within your own situations and relationships and lives. So I always like to start off my journal entries with "today I feel ... And right before pressing record on this episode, I think I may have been having a panic attack. I was feeling all the feels. I was feeling super anxious of like, I don't really have any notes. What am I going to cover? I was feeling super excited and also nervous because while I love this topic of tapping into our emotions and, finding our voices and journaling about all of the things, I still feel like I'm getting comfortable with it. I just started journaling really about a year and a half ago. And that was the point for me where journaling allowed me to recognize that I actually had feelings, which may sound crazy, but I think that I spent so much of my life really wanting to be happy myself, but also make sure that other people were happy. And in that, I have diminished any other feeling besides happiness. And even if something did arise that would cause sadness or frustration or anger, I would always think, well, someone else has it worse. And so I just wouldn't deal with it. I just kind of kept sweeping all the emotions under the rug. And journaling allowed me to express how I was feeling. And initially, I did not get very deep because I didn't know how. I was literally just writing out like blank statements, what, that anyone could have written, but just acknowledging that I was feeling something other than joy was really nerve-wracking for me. And in this podcast, I think it's going to be nerve-wracking for me to share that with you. But I also think, like I mentioned earlier, that will just help my healing and hopefully help or maybe initiate your own healing. So I got the question the other day of how unfiltered will my podcast be? And I actually loved this question because it got me to think that everyone knows that we live a pretty filtered life right now, right? Especially on social media. I have been on social media for 9 years. I mean, longer than that, but I've been like using it consistently, showing up every single day for 9 years. And it is definitely a highlight reel because I never shared any struggles. I didn't even know that I was going through struggles half of the time. And I think that's what I realized when this question was asked of how unfiltered will I get with this podcast? How vulnerable will I be with you? I realized that I have been living out a highlight reel, not just what other people are seeing, but that's how I felt too. And so I've gone through a lot in the past 2 years, which is actually what triggered me to start journaling consistently and led to, where I am today. 2 years ago, I gave birth to my son, Griffin. He is the light of my life. So sweet, truly the sweetest boy, like the best. So I gave birth to him, right? And anyone who is a mom knows that being a new mom is a trip. Your hormones are crazy. Everything is everywhere. You're healing physically. You're also healing the old you because you're becoming a different person with different priorities. You're still the same person, but I was really afraid to lose my independence. I think I cried over it a few times when I was pregnant. I was so sad to, just think I can't just pick up and go to a coffee shop anymore, and of course there's ways around that, but that was something that I was really struggling with. And so becoming a new mom, I of course had to learn how to deal with that. And then I was also going through marriage struggles and have since gotten divorced. At the time of this recording, I have not officially signed all of the papers. I think I have one more paper to sign. So that was obviously a whole trip, and we'll go down that memory lane. What is that called? We'll go down that road together. We'll just leave it at that. So now I'm a single mom. That's a completely new world. I kind of felt like a single mom before, but once you are a single mom, it is so different. And so that was a lot to deal with emotionally, physically, mentally, all of the things. And so I have just been forced to really face everything that I had hid from. I think back to my life prior to 2 years, prior to all of this, and there was always something within me that I heard. It was like I knew deep down in my core that I should do certain things or say certain things, and I didn't. And I think that it led me here, and it has been a tough road, but I've been learning so many lessons that clearly whatever my life was like before, I wasn't ready to learn them then. And I remember being so afraid to acknowledge that gut feeling that I had. One example is I was invited to go to a Brendan Burchard conference. And this was, maybe back in 2017, but it was a business conference. And we were going to go to learn some mindset work and how to better help our businesses and get creative and all of that fun stuff. But I remember being so nervous. Like, I think that I was having a panic attack again on that first day. I remember sitting in my seat, and inside of me just felt like I could burst into tears because I was that filled with like nerves. And it was because I was so nervous of what I was going to uncover emotionally. So I think back then, like, why didn't I just like start journaling then, or heal then, or ask myself those questions then before I am where I am today? But we can't go back and think those things. I think I am where I am today for a reason. But yeah, that was like that feeling, sitting there, feeling so nervous about that. Was just like a real eye opener, especially looking back on that moment. Also, I remember hiding my emotions to my family and friends because once again, I always wanted not only them to be happy, and I wanted to be happy, but I wanted them to like my partner. And so I hid anything that was anything other than joyful. So like any argument, and I never really argued because again, I didn't really address my emotions, but anything that would have been less than celebratory, I would not share with my family and friends because I wanted them to support me. And I think that I truly believed that. I believed what I was saying, and what I was saying wasn't a lie, but it just wasn't the full truth. And so journaling has helped me truly become so aware that I am more than just a happy person, which I totally am. I am super optimistic and I always try and look on the bright side, and I find so much joy in my life. But other emotions are okay too. And having a son now, I'm trying to teach him, like, it's okay to feel frustrated. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel angry. And I always viewed those emotions as negative emotions, and they're not. They're just emotions that we go through and that we have to process, and that it's okay to feel them. And it has been so healing in just recognizing that and allowing myself to understand that I am a whole person. I'm not just a happy person. I really like that. Maybe that's the title of this episode. I am a whole person. You are a whole person. And I hope that you will be able to get a lot out of these journal entries. Another question that I was asked was, who is my audience for this podcast? Who will be listening? And I think that you guys are a lot like me, maybe not the same exact scenarios, but I think that most of my listeners in some way, shape, or form feel stuck, like maybe in relationships or just with your connections, or maybe it is like in your business. You might not even know how you feel stuck or why you feel stuck or what it is that's sticky for you. And I think that a lot of my listeners are also trying to explore their emotions and to better understand themselves. I also think that my listeners are people pleasers. Well, let me say recovering people pleasers, because we don't love that about ourselves. And you guys might also feel anxious. That's another term that I used to feel like was a bad thing, right? To feel anxious. And I've learned that I definitely have anxiety in moments, some moments more than others. But I think just acknowledging that I have anxiety, at least moments of anxiety, is just like a relief of, okay, I don't have to hide from that anymore. It's here. I feel it. What can I do to work through it? And so I think that a lot of you guys are like me, and that you will get a lot out of what I share with you through these entries. But I also am going to be having guest speakers that I am truly so excited for. I've got a lineup, and I think that they are going to be speaking to that audience that I just mentioned. People pleasers, people who feel anxious or stuck, people who want to explore their emotions, who want to start journaling to use that as a way to tap into who they are, where their voice is, how to share their voice, all of the things. And I couldn't be more excited for you to hear from them, for you to hear from me, and for you to start your own healing in whatever capacity that might be for you. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get the ball rolling, and we're going to have a lot of fun together. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's journal entry. I love connecting with my listeners, so make sure you screenshot this episode and tag me on Instagram at samantha.s.says so I know you're listening. And don't forget to grab your free training and journal prompts at www.samanthapenkoff.com/podcast.